Let me show you easily the best value for money fat tire e-bikes that you can currently get on the market. And when I say the best, really nothing actually comes close to this e-bike in the market. When we consider the massive power on this e-bike, extra nice build quality, and also top the line brakes as well. And not only that, but we also get absolutely massive integrated battery as well in this bad boy. And when it comes to overall looks, it looks absolutely amazing as well. And it arrives in absolutely massive box, very well protected. And inside the box we have plenty of padding all around every part, so the packaging really is top class when you get this bike. And this is what it looks like when you take it out of the box. As you see, everything is very well protected. So we have these special paddings over here for every major part, and even the light is protected as well decently. By the way, if you are looking to get this bike, I have a special discount link in the description that you can use to get this bike much cheaper. Also, I managed to get extra €100 coupon from Duotts that you can use on the Duotts official website to bring basically the price down by further €100. So make sure to use Duotts F26 in the checkout to get extra €100 off of this bike. Also, if you actually use those special links, it will also arrive with a bunch of free accessories as well. So essentially, after we take off all the packaging, this is what we get. And the bike, I would say, is like 95% already built. So really all we have to do is first attach the wheel, also attach the handlebars over here, also attach our pedals here as well, light, and maybe a rack as well if you need. Inside the box we also get our seat, and the seat quality is absolutely superb on this bike. In fact, I actually have the same seat on my other bike, so on other Duotts bike that I have, and it's really comfortable, so I can highly suggest this seat. So also we have all the tools needed, also your manual over here, pedals, even a free phone holder over here, and your throttle. By the way, yep, when you actually purchase this bike, the throttle actually isn't installed for legal reasons, essentially, in some countries. So you will have to simply like put it on yourself if you need it. Also this adapter where you actually install the throttle, a free toolkit here as well, a free bicycle pump, and also your charger here as well, mud guards. So we have the rear mudguard already installed, but we have installed the front one, and also our rack here as well. By the way, for the rack we can also install the rear light here as well. So again, we have to install this as well. By the way, if you check out my other videos, I have a full guide on how to set up this e-bike. So yeah, basically if you decide to actually get this e-bike and want to see basically how to set up everything and configure, simply check out my other videos. So first, when it comes to build quality, this bike is absolutely insane. And when you actually look at the build quality and how it's made, it definitely looks way more expensive than it actually is. First, we actually have very decent aluminium alloy frame on the bike as well. A very nice kickstand as well. And when it comes to the seat, again, this seat is probably one of the most comfortable seats I have used it on any bike. And of course we get our integrated light as well, so they simply feed from your bike's battery, and when you actually turn on your bike, they also will come on. And this is what the bike looks like at night with the lights on. On the rear we have extremely bright rear light, but also we have integrated brake light here as well in the rear light. So you see, if I can maybe show you, so if I press my brake lever, as you can see, basically it illuminates and shines much brighter. The front light also is absolutely amazing on this bike. So as you can see, we can see extremely far with the front light, and also, yeah, it's also very bright as well. Also check this on the control panel, we even have illumination as well. So how cool is that? You can maybe see the front light power better here. As you see, it can throw very far, and again the brightness from the front light definitely is absolutely crazy actually on this bike. And let's get on the bike. So first, when it comes to comfort, actually not only really like the seat on this bike, but also how the handlebar actually is positioned basically. So you see it's actually a bit like bent towards you. So when you actually ride your bike, it's actually make comfortable. Also you see you have this resting areas basically for the handlebars as well that you can use. So yeah, when it comes to comfort, really this is absolutely top class. So you see on the front you have your display, and then on your bike you simply have to press this button over here for a few seconds, and then you see you have your display over here. So you can see various stuff over here, such as your speed, battery level here, assist level, and various other things. So you see if I also press around this thing, I can also change the stuff around. And also we have the like knob over here to turn on or off our front light, and a rear one, and also we have this dual drive button over here. So if you actually enable or disable this button, we can essentially turn on or off our front motor. So yep, we can actually do it on this bike. Also you see you have very decent horn here as well. And also we have our charger, so we have USB charger. Maybe you can even charge your phone basically from this thing over here. And then also if you want to, you can also obviously install your throttle over here. So this is what the throttle would actually look like. And yeah, personally I have throttle on mine, as yeah, I actually find the throttle absolutely amazing on this bike. And when it comes to the power, this bike is absolutely insane. So on this bike we actually get dual motor system, so one on front and one on rear. So if you check any regular e-bikes, then you see basically on pretty much like 90% of e-bikes we only get one rear motor, but again we actually get two dual motors on this e-bike. This over here is Duotts F26 e-bike. So I have had this basically for maybe a few months already, and I purchased this myself. And full disclaimer, actually Duotts sent me over this bike to check it out and simply show you. But again, they haven't actually paid me anything or asked to say anything about the bike. So I simply made quite a lot of videos about this one, and that was absolutely fantastic bike. But again, this one, yeah, it's really next level bike. By the way, if you check the Duotts official website, you see that this bike claims to have two 750 watt motors, so with a total power output of 1500 watts essentially. But the thing is, actually on my C29, I actually know for a fact that this motor can actually peak up to 1 kilowatt. And I suspect basically the same situation with the motors on this bike as well. So even though it's rated at maybe like 1500 watt power, in reality I think it's definitely more powerful. Also when I actually try to climb some hills with it, you can definitely tell this is insanely powerful bike. And if I had to rate basically how the power feels on this and also the cheaper C29, then even though the power is 2 times like higher, this actually feels even more powerful. I would say maybe like 2.5 to 3 times more powerful than the C29. So yeah, the power from this thing is absolutely insane. And next let's do an acceleration test from 0 to 40 kilometers per hour. Also we'll test out the brakes as well and see how fast we can stop. As you see, the brakes are also absolutely superb on this bike, so we get very decent hydraulic disc brakes on this bike, and stopping power is absolutely great. And if you compare the hydraulics versus my other Duotts bike, which has got mechanical disc brakes, then again the brakes I would say are literally like maybe like 4 or 5 times better. So stopping power is better, and also yeah, basically you have actually like very decent confidence in your bike. when it comes to tires on this bad boy, we get absolutely massive 26 by 4-inch tires on this bike, and you see the size is absolutely huge. By the way, online it's actually very hard to understand just how huge these tires are. So again, this is like 2-inch tire on the C29, so you see basically the size difference is absolutely massive on these tires. So again, maybe you can better understand. I suppose maybe the volume, maybe almost like 10 times bigger on these ones. Okay, maybe not 10 times, but again, definitely like 5 or 6 times bigger. So the overall volumes you see basically, so kind of small, but this one, yeah, it's a proper big boy. And probably the best part about these big tires is the overall confidence it actually gives you when you ride the bike. So the bike feels very well planted. So yeah, basically if you actually compare to the other Duotts bike, this feels essentially like almost like a motorcycle. So it's yeah, basically very stable at even like very high speeds as well. So again, if you are actually looking to unlock this bike and go at very high speed, really these tires are absolutely insanely good. So, and yeah, basically the overall like feel when you actually use this bike with these tires, yeah, it's absolutely great. Also, obviously, when you actually take this bike basically on a bit rougher roads, again, they smoothen out pretty much any bump basically in your way, and overall the feel when you actually ride the bike is very pleasant compared to like obviously a smaller tire. And when it comes to climbing hills, this bike also is absolutely insane. So over here I maybe have 30% gradient, maybe in some areas even worse, but this bike can even do it. Maybe let's first go down, and when it comes to brakes, even in terrain like this and with those tires, yeah, you still feel very confident actually riding this bike down a huge slope. Again, no bother at all for even such steep hills. So maybe it's hard to understand, but again, this is maybe like 30% so incline. And yeah, basically, so this bike doesn't really have much problems climbing even such stuff. And the power on this thing is, yeah, something else. And next let's test acceleration up maybe 14 to 15% incline and see how fast we can actually drive it. So So you see, we reach it pretty much like almost 28 kilometers per hour up a very steep hill. So how crazy is that? By the way, when you get this bike, it's actually limited to up to 25 kilometers when it comes to the maximum speed for legal reasons. But obviously we can very easily unlock the speed on this bike. And if you want to do it, we are simply going to press and hold this plus and minus at the same time. So maybe for a few seconds, then you see you have this menu. We are going to press this power button and cycle to P08. So this one. And then we have to use a plus to increase this value over here to 67. So literally press this plus button over here till you reach just 67, and then simply leave it like that and wait for maybe like 5 seconds. It will return to the main screen. Okay, and basically we have unlocked our speed, and then yeah, basically you can take this bike at absolutely crazy speeds. So when it comes to the top speed, so far I have achieved it around 60 kilometers per hour basically. But if you maybe also try to go down a hill slightly, you can maybe even get it to run faster. But again, I have had this bike only for a few days at the moment, so probably I can even achieve more basically with some more practice. So when it comes to speed and power, this bike is absolutely insane. By the way, if you're wondering how these fat tires actually feels on this e-bike, then they feel absolutely fantastic. In fact, this is actually my first bike with these kind of tires, and actually I'm absolutely in love with them. So not only they provide very good like stability when you ride the bike at very high speeds, but also if you ride your bike at like basically on a very rough surface just like this, then your bike also feels like very nice basically, and also the comfort really is top class as well. So yeah, if you are considering one of these fat tire e-bikes and are wondering how it actually feels, then yeah, it feels absolutely fantastic. And finally, when it comes to the battery life, also this bike is really top class and one of the best you can get at this price point. So you see, we have actually the integrated battery inside the frame. So if I take my key, insert it inside and unlock it, so you see, also I need to press this secondary lock, so to eject the battery, and then I can take it out. And this is what the battery pack actually looks like when we take it out, and it's absolutely massive. So when it comes to capacity, as you see, we get 960 watt hours, so almost 1 kilowatt hour of capacity in this battery. And as you see, it's running at 48 volts and it has got 20 amp hours essentially. So yeah, also what's absolutely great, we also have Samsung cells inside this battery pack. So yep, you actually hear it right. So to actually get Samsung cells inside in this price of bike, that's completely unheard of. So again, if you are looking for one of these e-bikes, then again this is huge advantage, as obviously the cells are much higher quality than on other e-bikes and they won't really cause you problems in the long term. And when it comes to the range, this bike can cover on a single full charge, so it will really depend how you actually use your e-bike. So if you actually also use your pedal assistant and like to pedal yourself as well, so on top of the like regular power, then Duotts claims you can get over 100 kilometer range. So if you also use the pedal assistant and pedal yourself a bit. So, and also after using this bike briefly and also knowing my experience with my other Duotts bike, I'm fairly confident that figure actually is accurate. But if you maybe do not care about pedaling yourself and only want to use this bike with a throttle, then obviously the range will drop significantly. So Duotts claims you can get around 50 to 60 kilometers, so in the throttle only mode. But what you have to realize, this figure actually heavily depends on how you ride the bike and what kind of speeds, and also if you have a lot of hills basically in your area. So for example, if you ride at very high speeds, then really the most energy like consumed to basically move the bike forward is simply to overcome the wind resistance, and about like maybe like 20 kilometers per hour your energy consumption basically like increases significantly. So again, if you maybe plan to drive at like 40 to 50 kilometers per hour, then definitely it might be only like 35 to 40 kilometers. Also, from what I heard, basically if you only maybe use your rear motor and do not enable the front motor, you might also get slightly better range, because if you actually use both motors at the same time, basically the like efficiency slightly decreases on the whole bike. So again, if you want to max out your range and simply are basically wanting to drive this bike at very gentle speeds, then maybe literally just use your rear motor only, and again only enable the front motor when you actually want to go faster, or maybe you have some hills. And overall, is the Duotts F26 actually worth it? And should you maybe get one? Well, yep, I can highly suggest this bike, because not only we get absolutely massive power on this bike, the build quality also is really top notch, and at this price you really never actually get this kind of build quality on these e-bikes. Also, when it comes to the looks, really it's one of the best looking actually e-bikes when it comes to all of them. Also very nice integrated lights, decent shocks, and yeah, those brakes are again next level. If you consider everything we actually get on the F26, then this e-bike really is impossible to beat. And again, if you want to get it much cheaper, make sure to use the special discount links in the description. Also make sure to use coupon code UVTECH26 in the checkout to get additional 100 euros off this bike when you purchase. For this price, which is bike costs, it's really impossible to beat. And again, also if you use the special discount links, it will also arrive with a bunch of free accessories as well, which is absolutely awesome. Anyway, good luck.